What is a real minimalist? I think a real minimalist is someone who uses minimalism as a tool and reaps the rewards of minimalism, whether or not you label yourself as a minimalist, minimalish, a maximalist, a consumerist. You can be a consumerist who has minimalist tendencies, who really loves shopping and enjoys clothes and boots and has this gorgeous closet that they've curated. When you have a closet full of stuff, let's say you have 100 things in your closet, but you were mindful about the purchases, you researched them, you made choices that were better for the earth, you spent money on quality rather than quantity, and you've curated a massive closet for yourself because you love clothes and fashion, and you've shifted from fast fashion to slow fashion or parts of it. That is living like a minimalist in your closet, even though you have lots of stuff. Minimalism isn't necessarily about the bare minimum of what you have and what you could have. It's about intentionality. And that is something I learned over the last 2 years, that it's not about the stuff. I have been practicing realistic minimalism for 2 years now. And I think if I had to put it all into one phrase, 700 plus days of doing this, into one compact little message, it would be that I am making life simple so that I can focus on what matters most to me. And that takes on various things depending on the season of life. Maybe it's decluttering a bunch of toys because I'm tired of picking them up or stepping on them. Maybe it's really honing in on the habits that are leading to that kind of clutter. I think of minimalism as a tree. I started doing this about 1.5 years ago. I think about the tree trunk as a sturdy, thick tree trunk. That is minimalism for me and what I came to understand from it. And then every time I make a minimalist decision or change something about my lifestyle to live like a minimalist, the roots grow a little bit deeper. And as the time progressed in the last 2 years, new branches would form on my tree. So it might have been eco-minimalism and what sustainability means to me and my family. Financial minimalism, getting out of debt, focusing on savings and investment, having our money work for us instead of us working for our money, changing my relationship with money after 30 years of money mismanagement. I believe that you can change your clutter threshold to match your season of life. So me, I'm a mom of 3 young kids. My clutter threshold changes depending on their interests. The way the threshold needs to adjust after birthdays and Christmas because they get extra things and extra toys that they love from family members. And I don't put any kind of restrictions on family members. That's a question I've received in the past. I do not expect my husband, my children, or my family to approach minimalism the way that I do. I do not expect them to taper their gifts because I'm a minimalist. I want them to spend money in the way they want to spend money. I don't like to tell people how to do something, especially when it comes to my family and my friends. If they want to shower my kids with gifts and it makes them happy because that's their love language, that's fine with me. And the kids will sort out what they want and they don't want over time. And I've learned that there is no right way or wrong way to do minimalism. In the beginning, I was looking for a very black and white answer, a line of this is how you do minimalism and this is how you don't do minimalism. And I never found that answer. I have stopped seeking that answer because there's a lot of gray space in minimalism and individual definitions of what that means. And that's why I kind of boil it all down to making my life simple, one day at a time, by intentionally focusing on what matters most to me. And to do that, it's questioning things. Is what I'm doing right now what matters most to me? Spending time with my family, building a relationship with God and making sure my children have that relationship as well and are fostering their own individual relationships, making sure my husband has a space for his faith, for his work, for his hobbies, making sure I have space for my hobbies, things I love doing, like making YouTube videos, making sure my children have space for things that they love, and making learning fun. And those things are what matter most to me right now. And when I'm doing things that don't support what matters most to me, I'm stressed out and I'm unhappy, and I'm very quick to identify that now. And in the beginning, when I was extreme decluttering and getting rid of thousands of things and boxes 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 of stuff, it was like letting go of a breath I did not know that I was even holding. Now it's making sure that I'm continuing to breathe in that way, and that I have the space emotionally and physically to breathe in that space, the way that I learned how to breathe in the beginning. I hope that metaphor made sense and wasn't weird. My husband is not a minimalist, but he goes through his own individual decluttering processes. We asked recently on YouTube and Instagram if you have questions. There were so many questions and comments and things to talk about that he and I are going to film our own video for that, about the dichotomy of minimalism and living with a minimalist when you're not a minimalist. And that goes back to my definition of what a real minimalist is. If you are using minimalism as a tool to live intentionally and to intentionally focus on what matters to you most, and you're reaping the rewards of that, it doesn't matter if you call yourself a minimalist. A real minimalist is benefiting from minimalism whether or not you have the title or the label or you call yourself that. So Andy, my husband, is going through his own decluttering processes, and I'm trying to support him without telling him what to do. And so he's going through bins in the basement of his stuff and going through the process that I have been going through for the last 2 years. And he is trying to figure out, okay, does keeping this improve my life? Does keeping this, is it important to me? And going through that on his own, he is not a minimalist and doesn't think of himself as a minimalist, but he is using minimalism as a tool to intentionally improve his life. And whether or not he calls himself a minimalist doesn't matter. I'm a mom of 3 young kids. We still have clutter every day. The difference now is that I can clean it up in 15 minutes. And before, I couldn't even clean it up. There was nowhere to put it. And that just takes time. Finding a home for every single thing takes time and practice and change and accepting failure when it doesn't work. I've left a blog post below with more thoughts on minimalism for the first 2 years, and what I think a real minimalist is. And I use that phrase with trepidation because sometimes I think I am a true minimalist now. It's my lifestyle. It's in nearly every decision that I make, and it has become so much a part of me that I can't imagine not making decisions and living this way. It is my life now. It's weird for me to sit on this side of the camera and tell you what a real minimalist is, because it's subjective. And that's why I think if you use minimalism as a tool to improve your life or live intentionally, then you have an element of real minimalism in you. And that's all I really want to share on this channel, are the struggles and the failures and the successes and the joys and the highs and the lows of my journey, and why minimalism has so many benefits that you hear about. They're really on the other side of this, the other side of the minimalism rainbow. There's absolutely lots of benefits that in the beginning, 2 years ago, if somebody had told me, you're going to be debt-free, you are going to be happy, you are going to not have junk all over your kitchen counter, you are going to clean up your whole house in 15 minutes, you are going to clean less, You are going to stress less. You are going to have less anxiety. You are going to have a savings account. I didn't have that 2 years ago. You're going to have a savings account to allow you to sleep better at night. You're going to sleep better at night because you're less stressed and you have less to deal with and wake up to every morning. You are going to spend more time with your kids and your family. I feel like I'm talking to myself right now. I'm telling myself how amazing the last 2 years has been. And if someone had said those things to me 2 years ago, it wouldn't have made sense to me. It wouldn't have had an impact that I feel now at the end of 2 years. I wouldn't have understood it. I wouldn't have been able to appreciate it because you can't understand the benefit of something wholly until you've gone through it and you've done the dirty work and you got rid of all your stuff and you figured out what you want to keep and that it's okay to keep whatever you want to keep. That if you want to keep sentimental things, great, bring them into your life. If you want to keep them in a box in your basement, great, live your life. I can genuinely say I am a happier person. I'm just sitting here like, yeah, that's a real benefit. I read articles and before about minimalism and the benefits, and before I lived a minimalist life and decluttered thousands of things, I didn't have the kind of happiness I have now. And that all stems from my minimalist tree. How that sturdy trunk just grows roots deeper and deeper and grows new branches and new leaves every time I experiment with something and try something and say, you know what, I'm gonna swap. My husband describes me as hippie adjacent. I have a friend who calls me her crunchy mama friend. So yeah, I'm kind of crunchy when it comes to stuff. I have always been a steward of the earth, and it has a deeper meaning for me now as a minimalist in my choices, in clothing and food and everything. I mean, I grow my own food now. Like, who is that person? That was not me 2 years ago. I grow my own food now. I want a hobby farm. Like, that is not who I was 2 years ago. I digress. Anyway, hippie adjacent. So I now experiment with choices. I've changed our laundry detergent permanently. I use drops. I have for over a year and a half now. It's a zero waste laundry detergent. So I make a swap like that, or I swap out my makeup to be a more organic choice in makeup and less chemically. I have changed my cleaners, less chemicals. I also still have Lysol wipes in the car. I'm kind of crunchy. I'm hippie adjacent. I grow my own food in the backyard, but I also feed my kids Kraft mac and cheese out of a box. It's what works. It's about balance. I'm just gonna call it good. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, I typically post content about making life simple. Please subscribe. Thank you for watching.